Hi, everyone. It's good to have you here, and I'm just checking to see if people are still coming into the room. They're making their way in, so I'll go ahead and get started. It's uh, it's great to have the start of the semester underway, and let me thank everybody for your hard work in getting ready for the arrival of thousands and thousands of students, and then preparing for the start of the academic year. And all the great work that's happened over the summer is just remarkable. And at the State of the University address last Thursday, I gave a great overview of some of many of the accomplishments that we've had in the past year, and we also launched the Word of the Year. And so that spirit of generosity, the word generosity is our word of the year, just to recognize that great spirit of how you give and mentor and shape the lives of our students and one another in so many ways, and giving of your talent and your energy to make that happen. So the word of the year this year is generosity, and I'm grateful for the generosity that each of you have put forward getting ready for this year. Enrollment for this year looks strong again. We don't have good predictions yet. We have some numbers. They don't mean so much, but we're tracking to be another close to record year, if not a record year this year. But we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. Census day is in a few weeks, and we'll make sure we keep you updated. There's a number of searches happening on campus. The provost is going to get on in a minute as we get ready to begin the search for our new vice president for finance and operations, plus other searches underway. But I need to take the opportunity to thank three people who have stepped up, and that's Peggy Varberg, Odella Fuqua, and Rodney Clark as our interim VPs for finance and operations. They each have a functional area that they're leading, but all are serving as interim vice presidents. And my hat's off to each of them for their hard work and dedication to the mission of the university. And then finally, we're getting ready for an upcoming legislative session. My commitment to you is to make sure we provide good information to the campus throughout the fall semester and throughout the spring semester as the session begins in early January. Our goal is to make sure that we speak on behalf of our campus, but also to engage our shared governance leaders, so the University Senate, the Staff Senate, and student government, to make sure that their voices are in our dialogue with the legislature, and also to make sure that they're aware of legislation that's impacting us, and they may choose to speak on the behalf of their organizations as well. So a lot coming forward with the legislative session. But today we hope to give you an update about things that we think are on your mind. We have a number of speakers who are going to come up on and give updates. And I really am grateful for everything everybody's doing for our great campus. So let me turn it over to our host for today, Melanie Linder, who is going to walk us through. She always does an awesome job guiding the discussion and making sure that your questions and our answers line up throughout this hour-long session. So Melanie, great to see you. Thanks for being here, and thanks for your leadership across the campus.
Thank you, President Armacost. So just a couple housekeeping things for everybody. We're going to have a few updates from various leaders across campus. And then we have, to kick off our Q&A session, we have some questions that have been submitted from our U Senate and Staff Senate governance. And then just start entering the questions that you have in our Q&A, and we'll answer them as we go through. The first ones we'll answer. But to kick us off with the updates, I'm going to turn it over to Provost Link. Provost Link, over to you.
Thank you so much, Vice President Linder, and welcome everybody to the town hall. It's great to have everyone join us at the beginning of the semester for some updates and some Q&A. I hope that everyone's semester is off to a great start. As the President mentioned, we have once again welcomed thousands of students to campus. They are, of course, here on campus and also joining us virtually in online programs, and really proud of all of the work that all of you are doing, and the admissions team, the recruiting team, the student success teams are doing to bring these students to campus, give them a great educational experience, and help them persist through to graduation. As the President noted, we're still about 3 weeks away from census, so we won't have final enrollment numbers till a little bit later in September. But the recruitment efforts are ongoing, and we've had a really good, strong start to the semester. So there's a lot to be proud of here at UND. One number that I think I can report is our freshman class that we welcomed was 2,210 students, I believe, which is like the third, I think, highest freshman class in UND history. So another testament to the great work going on at the university and the amazing educational experiences that these students are having. So thank you all for that great work. We also, in addition to the students, we welcomed a whole lot of new faculty to campus at the beginning of this fall semester. 24 new part-time faculty and 36 new full-time faculty have joined the UND community. And to those of you who are out in the audience listening, we're so glad you're here. Welcome to Grand Forks, and whatever we can do to help you be successful during your time here at UND, we'll do our best to make that possible. Thanks for joining us. As many of you know, we are engaged in a campus master planning exercise. The campus master planning exercise is at about its midpoint. We have had two, what Perkins and Will, our partner consultants in this process, have called workshops. We've had two of them. We are looking ahead to early October, where our third workshop will take place. And this will be will feature a visit from the Perkins and Will team here on campus. So I want everyone to mark their calendars. So October 8th at 3 p.m. in Nistler, we will have the Perkins and Will team here to do an open forum with the entire UND community to share the results of their work, and everyone will get to see at that point a draft version of the next campus master plan as it is taking shape. So I hope that you will mark that on your calendars and come out to see Perkins and Will in early October. The last thing I'll mention is just we have several significant leadership searches underway. The Nistler College of Business and Public Administration Dean search is ongoing. I certainly want to extend my thanks to Dean O'Neill for his continued leadership in the interim role, and thank Dean Kraus for chairing that search. That search committee has received its pool of candidates, and I believe are conducting semifinalist interviews over the next week or two. And I'm told we can expect to welcome some finalists in that search to campus in early October. So the first week or two of October is our target date there. We are also getting ready to launch our search for a vice provost of student success and undergraduate studies. As many of you know, Dr. Karen Plum, who served in that role for many years, has moved on to another opportunity. And so we've done a lot of work this summer behind the scenes, getting logistically things set up, but you can see that search go public probably in the next 3 or 4 weeks. We are working to partner with a search committee, a search firm on that process. And I've asked Dean Kim if she would be so gracious as to chair that search committee, and she has agreed. So I want to thank Soo-Jung Kim for her leadership there. And then last, the Vice President for Finance and Operations. I have the honor of chairing that search. That search is underway. In fact, today we have Isaacson Miller on campus conducting a number of focus groups sessions to get some feedback on the characteristics and qualities of the next leader that we are seeking in our Vice President for Finance and Operations. If you were not able to attend the all-call open forum that happened just an hour or two ago, there is a link in the resource tab of this town hall where you can click on that link, I'm told, and you should be able to provide some feedback into that search. So that's my time today. Thank you all, and I look forward to the Q&A in the rest of the hour.
All right, thank you, Provost Link. And to Provost Link's point about the link to the survey, if you go under the more on your Zoom, there's three dots, click on that, and there's a link for resources. And the VPFO survey is under resources, so you can fill that out. Our next update is going to come from our Chief HR Officer, Peggy Varberg. And Peggy, if you wouldn't mind giving us an update on the job architecture. I know we had a letter from the president that went out via email this morning, but are there any other updates that you can give us today?
Yes, thank you. Good morning. Welcome back. We're excited to have the campus awake and vibrant and lots of swift moving people. So it's great to see the campus so alive again. We want to thank President Armacost. He sent a letter this morning that updated the campus on where we are with the campus compensation project. We're moving forward. We are in final stages of many pieces of it, and we've received feedback from so many areas of campus, and we appreciate that. So we are working now avidly with the president and the executive council to really review all the pieces and the parts, make sure that it makes sense, that we've got good training documents that we're reviewing with them, and then our final step before one of the last steps is to make sure that our market data is completely up to date, that we're using the greatest and the most recent market data to inform all of the salary structure. So we're very excited about where we are there. We appreciate the patience. From the beginning, we've said this is a longer project. It wasn't going to happen overnight. We're just starting our third year of really what looks like a 5-year project for the campus. And reminders here too. I saw a question in the chat. I'll just go ahead and address that. No harm, right? There will be no harm. Nobody's going to lose money because of what this architecture has created. In many cases, it's validating where people are, that they're in the right places as far as their salary structure and so forth. So we're excited to move forward with that. A couple other points from HR. One is we will have a total compensation or total compensation benefits survey that's going to come out here in the next probably 2 or 3 weeks. It comes from the system office, but it will come out to all benefited employees, staff, and faculty. And it's really a tool for the state legislators to hear from all state employees in the NDUS system and then in the state side of things about how they feel about their benefits, their health insurance, their retirement, the information that they receive, all those kinds of things. What else would they like to see? Those kinds of things. So that is going to be coming out soon. And then finally, you're aware that we're doing a staff evaluation project this year. And super excited to say that's been going very well. It's been informed by the survey that we sent out to campus. So creating based on the feedback and the wishes that we've heard. And it's a project that we're really excited about. I think it's going to be a much more efficient project for staff for their evaluations going forward. So,
all right, thank you so much. Our next update is going to be on federal directives. There's been a lot of movement, and we're first going to hear from Vice President Snyder, and then we'll turn it over to Charlie Gorecki from the EERC. So, VP Snyder, over to you.
Hey, thanks, VP Linder. Glad to see everyone and be part of this great event. The things on the federal front are relatively quiet, which is not necessarily a bad thing. Both chambers of Congress, both houses of Congress are in recess right now, which means there's not a lot legislatively going on. The big thing that is facing the Congress when they do reconvene is the Senate has passed a continuing resolution to keep the government open until December 11th. The House has passed a differing version of a continuing resolution, which would keep the government open until December 4th, so after the midterm elections. It's thought the House will go back into session next week. And it's thought that the House is going to accept the Senate version, and at least we will have a budget and no government shutdown through and beyond the midterms. So that's really keeping an eye on that, keeping an eye on some other budgetary moves. Another reconciliation is possibly in the works. But other than that, relatively quiet. The agencies are still slow to respond because of staffing shortages and procedural issues. But at least we seem to have reached some kind of stability, and I'll turn it over to Charlie now for his take on things.
Thank you, VP Snyder. Yeah, just to add on to that, as mentioned, we are seeing movement. It's been a long time without movement from this administration on issuing grants, cooperative agreements. But over the last about 2 months, we have seen what has been a bottleneck finally seem to move forward. So a lot of our large cooperative agreements, federal contracts are finally being inked. So the work is now progressing. We're also starting to see more funding opportunity announcements come out from the federal government. Most of the area that we look at from the EERC perspective is energy, but I think that's across the board that this administration is starting to release federal funding announcements for us to submit proposals to. I think that's a really positive thing. The federal fiscal year, already alluded to, ends on September 30th. So they're trying to wrap up a lot of contracting. So we've actually had a lot of activity with respect to contracts to try to get those completed prior to the end of this fiscal year. And I would suspect that they'll start making more award notifications after October 1st, assuming that, as VP Snyder mentioned, there is a continuing resolution passed that keeps the government open, likely to December 11th is the current plan. That's it from me. I'll turn it back over to VP Linder.
All right, thank you so much. It's hard to miss all the construction that's happening around campus, lots of progress on big projects going on. So I'm going to turn the next update over to Brian Larson. Brian, can you give us an update on all the construction projects we're seeing around campus?
Yes, thank you, Vice President Linder, and good afternoon, everyone. I'll provide a high-level update on a few impactful projects here across campus. We'll start with the first phase of the STEM project. As everyone is returning to campus, you'll be able to see the progress happening on the STEM site. Crews are currently setting structural steel, installing steam infrastructure, and starting to frame on the south end of the project. So things are progressing very nicely on the STEM project. We are on schedule. I will note that later this fall, there will be a short closure of Cornell Street as the structural steel that is the basis for the skywalk connecting the first phase of the STEM project to Leonard Hall will be set as well. And that's another key milestone for that project. But overall, things are going really well on site. I will encourage everyone to continue to be as safe as possible, especially pedestrians walking on Red Jarrett Way near the parking ramp. There will be a continued elevation and increase in construction traffic throughout the STEM site over the next year. I'll also mention that out at the airport, the Flight Operations Center project is making great progress. That project is due to open up later this spring. And it'll create a wonderful facility to support all the amazing work happening out at the UND airport. Moving on to a number of projects that we've been working on over the last year to relocate the occupants from Columbia Hall to other academic buildings on campus. This summer, we completed renovations in Gamble Hall to create new homes for the Department of Psychology, Communication Sciences and Disorders, as well as the Northern Prairie Community Clinic. So those renovations are wrapped up and the departments are settling into their new space in Gamble Hall. That leaves biomedical engineering as the remaining academic department in Columbia Hall. We currently have renovations underway at the former UND bookstore, which has been retitled Hamlin Hall. So in Hamlin Hall, crews will be completing those renovations to create a new space for biomedical engineering. We anticipate that they'll be moving into that new home by the end of the fall semester. And then lastly, I'll touch on the North Dakota DOT project at 42nd and Demers. The 42nd Street is closed north of the Demers intersection. Traffic has been moved on to a temporary bypass to allow for the construction of the new railroad bridge, as well as the new bridge on Demers that 42nd will pass under in the future. The latest schedule updates that we have on that project showed that 42nd Street is anticipated to be open, passing under the new bridge on Demers next fall, so fall of 2027. There's a series of other phases related to that project. Overall, it'll be completed in 2028. That's what I have for updates. I'll turn it back to you, Vice President Linder.
All right, thanks so much. All right, we're going to get into the questions that were submitted from governance. The first question I'm going to turn over to Peggy Varberg. Peggy, there was talk at the state level of possible cost-saving changes to the medical coverage. Has there been any talk of these changes to the benefits?
Thank you. That's a great question. So we are heading into a time of legislative questions to us regarding the wishes and wants, like we talked about. You'll have the opportunity to provide feedback in that total reward survey. There are some questions that ask you about if there are better plans, more inclusive plans in terms of things that may be missing that employees would want in the grandfathered plan. There will be a question that said, would you be willing to share some of that cost? You should answer it honestly, whatever that means. There were things on the table last legislative cycle about potentially sharing some of the costs. It ultimately went down and was not passed through. My feeling is that will come up again. It has come up the last couple of cycles of legislative session. So I feel like it's going to come up again. I know there are a lot of voices still pressing to keep our benefits whole, specifically our health insurance. And it is such a great reward for folks that work in the state of North Dakota or for the state of North Dakota, whether it's in the NDUS system or whether it's over in the actual state as a state employee on the OMB side. It's a great opportunity for us, and I hope we don't lose it. But I can't tell you today whether we will or won't, but I will tell you that this will be a topic for sure.
All right, Peggy, if you wouldn't mind staying on, the next question is for you as well. And that is, it seems that many departments are short-staffed. Are there any current or expected hiring freezes?
There are not. There are no current hiring freezes. I don't expect to see them happening. We are in a time where we're doing a lot of recruiting. So our recruiting team is busy both for staff and faculty and trying to find those next great employees to join our community.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that.
Sure.
Our next question, I'm going to turn over to Jen Duffy. Jen, there was quite a significant jump in parking permits, especially for anyone without a special reserve or parking ramp spot. Could you explain why the increase happened now and why increases will continue through 2030? What, if any, accommodations are being made for those who cannot afford it? And will there be any sliding scale for those who make under a certain salary or wage? I'm aware of this webpage, but not everyone is. And it's the link to the actual parking webpage. And we can put that in the resources as well. So Jen, over to you.
Thank you, VP Linder, for the question. So the rate increases are part of a long-term plan to address the growing cost of operating, maintaining, and repairing the university's parking infrastructure. Historically, the parking permit rates had not kept up with the pace of these costs, resulting in a funding gap. So in the spring of 2025, the university approved and communicated a 5-year permit fee schedule. Rather than implementing the full increase for the employee permit in a single year, the required adjustment was phased in over 2 years, followed by smaller annual increases through 2030. So for some permit types, such as the reserve permits, the required adjustment was implemented in a single year, followed by 4 years then of the smaller increase. These planned increases are intended to provide predictable rates while ensuring adequate funding for parking lot maintenance, snow and ice removal, pavement repairs, signage, and future capital replacement needs. At this time, the parking permit rates are assessed based on the parking option selected. There is not currently a plan to implement a salary-based sliding scale permit structure. A lower cost alternative to the employee permit is the economy lot permit. This option may be a good fit for those who are comfortable with a longer walk or interested in using the campus shuttle. Employees with questions or who would like additional information about the option are encouraged to contact Parking Services. I'll turn it back over to you, Vice President Linder.
All right, thank you so much. Our next question is for our CIO, Madhavi. When can faculty and staff expect guidance about AI use on campus? For example, in relation to teaching, research, or any general work responsibilities? And how can people get involved if they want to assist in the process? Where can they find UND-based training? And again, just where can they find the resources they need if they're interested in AI? Over to you, Madhavi.
Yeah, thank you. Great question, because everybody's talking about AI these days, and we too are trying to figure out how best to do this for UND. Recently, actually, I read an article that some of the best universities in the country, they are also struggling how to put some framework together. But we have started some of the work through our co-AI initiative that went into effect early this year to discuss these things. How are we going to, do we need a policy? What is that policy going to look like? I look at this in a three-legged form, like the technology, the policies, procedures, those are the process, and then the people. How are we going to make sure that we integrate all these three legs to make sure that we have a solid foundation at UND? So we do have a co-AI webpage out there. I think about a few months ago, just before summer started, we sent out a notification asking people to kind of tell us, what are you working on AI and how can we support? So we already have an inventory of what people are currently working on. What we are doing right now is to come up with the technology for us to pilot again, this is a pilot, please keep in mind that, pilot a handful of applications to see how this is going to work for UND. So our hope is again to do this over the fall semester and see how can it be scalable for the rest of the university. Again, it's a pilot. We're just trying to see what the cost is going to be, what are the use cases that we can implement this, and what is it going to look like for the university. So the web page out there, we will update it. We are actually trying to figure out how to communicate the efforts that have been happening at UND as well. So more to come as we ourselves kind of get our hands wrapped around. If anybody's interested, please let us know. Let the co-AI know. Shoot me an email as well. Happy to have you in the conversations. The more, the merrier. Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, our next question, I'm going to turn over to Chief Clark. Chief, a lot of security cameras have been installed in aerospace buildings over this summer. Before last year, UND had a policy on data retention that said recorded video must be stored for a period of 30 days and will then be erased, unless retained as part of a criminal investigation or court proceedings. Now the policy says cameras must be capable of continuous or motion-activated recording and retain footage for a minimum of 30 days. And this series contains videos, recordings from security cameras from across campus. Active ceases when the recordings are no longer useful. The question is, what does no longer useful mean and who decides?
Yeah, thank you, Vice President Linder, for the question. So I'll address it here. The answer to the question specifically is when the video no longer has any investigative value, be that a law enforcement investigation or a safety investigation. We've used some of the footage for both. So that would be the answer. Typically, the vendor that we use, the retention period is 30 days. Without intervention, to preserve that for longer. The answer to the other part of the question, in my current position, that would be me, the one that decides. We all, based on our roles, have different decisions that we make, and me being the chief law enforcement officer and chief security officer for the official, or for the campus, sorry, chief law enforcement and safety official would make that decision. I just want to say these cameras have been invaluable to campus safety since we've been implementing them. We're still in the process now of putting up more safety and security cameras across campus. And These cameras are part of the national university landscape. It is not something that's unique to UND. But like I said, just to sum it up, 30 days is the detention schedule set by the vendor. And unless there's authorized intervention from myself and maybe the deputy chief of police would be the only other person that I would relegate that authority to.
Thank you so much. All right, our next question is going to go over to Brian Larson. Brian, the question is regarding recycling. Does UND have its own recycling process that's separate from the city of Grand Forks? If so, where does it go?
Yeah, thanks, Vice President Linder. UND contracts all of our refuse and recycling efforts with the city of Grand Forks. And the city of Grand Forks, in turn, contracts with waste management to properly handle and haul away the recycling to the proper sorting facilities. We've been working closely with the city of Grand Forks on this effort for a few years now. Previously, we did have direct contracts for this, but we've found a number of efficiencies working with the city, and that's things have gone well there.
All right, thank you so much. All right, our next question I'm going to turn over to President Armacost. President Armacost, online students contribute significantly at UND, but there's the understanding that the legislature is seeking to reduce the amount of funding they provide for online students. Is UND emphasizing that these online students do benefit the state? For example, some online students make connections during their time at UND with companies in North Dakota and move here for work after graduating. Can you expand on that?
Absolutely. Thank you. It's a great question about the value of our online students. Our online students represent about a third of the total students that we teach at UND. They are incredibly valuable. They're great participants in our classes. They take the UND reputation, not just across the state, but also across the nation. Provides an opportunity for students who otherwise can't come to Grand Forks to get a great UND education. So we're proud of our online students. The points that you make are great, and there's a bunch of others about why we need to preserve and enhance our online programs and to make sure state funding continues. The good news is those arguments have actually had traction. And so the initial questions about whether or not the state should fund online, in particular, out-of-state online students, those questions have stopped and we're at a good place right now. The current plan is to make sure we get funding for online, including in-state and out-of-state online students. Thanks for the question.
All right, thank you so much. Our next question is going to go back to Peggy Varberg. Peggy, with increasing pressure to reduce or eliminate hybrid work options for staff, there's a concern that these changes are contributing to staff attrition, which is then followed by the elimination or recategorization of vacant positions. Has the university evaluated the potential impact of these changes on retention and the loss of institutional knowledge? If so, how has that risk weighed in the decision to reduce hybrid work options?
So I would be a little confused to say I'm not sure that there is a lot of pressure to reduce or eliminate. And I would also separate out hybrid versus remote. So because they're two different things. Hybrid would be some on campus, some off campus. And if that's what we're talking about, we have a lot of those opportunities here. I will say anytime a position becomes available, meaning someone has left, whether it's a hybrid, it's remote, it's on campus, that's always a great opportunity for leadership in that area to step back and think about what that role is. And we encourage folks to do that continuously when a position becomes available. What is it? What does it need? Do they need something else? Is there a gap in services where they can really take a great look at that position and where it could be pointed? Always allowing a position to be hybrid or remote, that's a complicated question. It starts with what does the position do? Who does it serve on campus? Who does it serve within its own team? Not just maybe students or customers, but within its own team. Is it reasonable to be hybrid or remote? Regardless. We just finished a summer where we had a lot of hybrid. The university is very supportive of summer schedules and flexible work and hybrid work during the summer. So we just had a great summer of those kinds of opportunities. So I think it's a choice that each area makes. with the support of its leadership. We still get lots of requests and questions about can I and should I and can it be remote 100%, or can we do hybrid where I'm here some and gone some, or working elsewhere? And so again, it really goes back to what is the position, what's the role, and the focus on campus. And it also has some to do with the person and the supervisory responsibilities as well, in terms of who is the person. Is hybrid and remote a good working environment for the employee? And for the team that this employee works in. So there's a lot of moving parts there to it, but we continue to have great conversations about how that helps campus, where it could hinder campus. But it's always sort of at the top of conversations with leadership, with the president and the executive council as well. So.
Thank you so much. I'm just going to take a quick pause. I missed in my notes turning over a conversation to Donna Smith to give us an update on how we're doing with our digital accessibility. So Donna, could you give us a quick update on how the campus is doing in that area?
Yes, thank you, VP Linder. Happy to do that. There has been a lot of work going on over the summer. And so I just want to reframe for a minute. While we've received an extension to the ADA Title II Digital Accessibility Compliance deadline, that doesn't change our approach. We're continuing to focus on progress over perfection and building sustainable accessibility practices across the whole university. I want to thank everyone who's been contributing to that work and helping us maintain our momentum. If you haven't engaged with those efforts yet or aren't sure where to start, we do have lots of resources on campus. Judy Risch is our digital accessibility coordinator in the Civil Rights and Title IX office. She and Tada held several training sessions on a number of accessibility topics last spring. We will continue to offer training throughout this academic year. And you can also check out the resources on the TADA webpage or the Civil Rights web pages. Faculty members who have questions about accessibility in your course materials, please contact your instructional designers and work with them. If there are specific accessibility topics or training needs you'd like us to address, please let me know. We had 12 graduate students working this summer, 10 from Arts and Sciences and 2 from the College of Education and Human Development, working on reviewing and captioning course videos and remediating PDFs to improve accessibility across those UND courses. Those students reviewed and corrected captions for almost 900 course videos this summer and remediated many PDFs. Their work directly supports faculty and our broader efforts to meet the university's enhanced accessibility standards. So I want to especially thank them and the faculty members who supported them. Additionally, TADA engaged with 15 faculty members across the campus this summer on a course development project that in part also addressed accessibility. So we appreciate all of that hard work. Over the coming weeks, we will also be working with a vendor to map our full web presence. We have lots of UND web pages, and we need to get a good handle on where those are all located so we can bring them together for better ongoing monitoring and compliance. On the topic of web accessibility, our accessibility scores in Site Improve have improved from 64.4 in December of 2024 to 81.6 right now, which is a great improvement. We also anticipate those scores will continue to improve with an upcoming website refresh. In addition, over the summer, we deployed a new PDF remediation tool. It's called PREP. We are working towards a broader implementation of that across campus, so look for more information on that coming soon and some additional training. Finally, over the summer, we streamlined the procurement process for cloud-based and desktop software so that a VPAT review is not required in every single case. Hopefully that makes your purchasing easier while also allowing us to focus on accessibility of the products with the greatest potential impact for campus. And I just want to end with a reminder that digital accessibility is a shared responsibility for everybody. It requires us to shift our mindset. We all have a role in creating an accessible environment for everyone on campus. We're here to support you. If you need help, just ask.
Thank you so much, Donna, and thank you for your leadership on that project. It's been a big lift. Our next question, I'm going to turn over to VP Snyder again. VP Snyder, some recent federal grant guidance are suggesting that lower than negotiated indirect rates will make grants more competitive. What is the guidance do you have for preparing grant applications on indirects?
Yeah, thanks, VP Linder. We have seen this pop up a little bit where various federal agencies, it's not been consistent though, provide some language that suggests that your proposal may be more competitive if it has a lower F&A rate. There's backstory there, and there have been some moves in Congress to block that kind of language. But for now, after consulting with my colleagues at different VPRs from around the country, we are holding the line, and please go ahead and use the negotiated rate, the standard rate that we have been using, 41% for research. And we will keep appraised. I think the thing that I'm hearing from my colleagues around the nation is we have to stick together on this, or it will be a process of divide and conquer amongst universities from around the country. So right now we are advising using our negotiated rate, as are my colleagues at other institutions in the country. Thanks.
All right, thank you so much. Our next question is going to go back to Peggy Varberg. Peggy, what are the caveats, if any, with regards to hiring international students in faculty or staff roles, particularly those who need sponsorship for optional practical training or STEM optimal training? It seems like the general pan-US trend is that those who need sponsorship are in limbo.
Thank you. Limbo is exactly the right word. So this environment is very challenging due to federal regulations. It's really dependent upon the position and the uniqueness of the position. So that has a lot to do with any type of sponsorship. It's what is the position? What does it do? So there's not a clear answer. Unfortunately, I don't have like a really clear answer for you, but I do encourage you to work for the hiring managers to really work with HR as they have questions about specific positions and what kind of work authorization might be needed.
All right, thank you so much. The next question, I'm going to turn over to Jen Duffy. Jen, the question is, for those of us with reserved spots, it is incredibly frustrating to come to campus and find someone in your reserved space. We pay a lot for these spots and nothing appears to be done when there's a repeat offender, or even when it happens only once. We're still displaced when this happens. What are the plans to protect people who are paying for these spots?
Thank you for the question. Well, first I want to start by saying I understand the frustration of arriving on campus and finding someone parked in a reserved space, a paid reserved space. Those spaces are intended to provide to offer kind of guaranteed parking. And while Parking Services is actively monitoring those spaces and issuing citations to violators, we ask that if you do come across this, that you please report it to Parking Services as quickly as possible so they can take action. And then additionally, Parking Services is monitoring repeat offenders, and we're continuing to evaluate our enforcement practices and look for ways to improve compliance.
Thank you so much. I'm going to turn our next question over to our CIO, Madhavi. Is there a full integration of Microsoft Copilot with Office 365 that is being considered?
So if we are talking about integration with the M365, then for paid users, if you're already paying for a Copilot license, then you already have that integration. But if you are talking about, do we have plans for giving everybody a paid Copilot license, that is actually going to be very cost prohibitive for us, because I actually did the math. It's over 1 million per year if we were to provide a paid Copilot. So at this point, we do not have a plan to provide everybody a paid license, but we are looking at what other options do we have. We actually had a conversation with OpenAI as well, ChatGPT. Again, the cost is over 1 million for a university of our size. So we are continuing to look at what options do we have to scale this to the university.
Thank you so much. Our next question, I'm going to start off with Peggy Varberg, but Peggy, you may also want to invite others to answer this question as well. But there are a lot of students working on campus. Has there ever been any thought to letting those online students who are allowed to work for the university, especially that in the summertime, a student takes one online class, is only allowed to work 20 hours? Can you elaborate if there's any thought about getting more of our online students engaged in on-campus employment?
Yeah, I'm not quite sure I fully understand the question. I am going to tap in Janelle Kilgore, our Vice Provost for Strategic Enrollment Management, to help out with this. We do, for student employees across the university, whether they're no matter how they come to us, if they're a student employee for UND, they are limited to 20 hours a week. For our international students, that's all they can work when they're enrolled in classes. There's processes and policies around this. Sometimes, or some of it has to do with DHS rulings. It's kind of complicated, and so we have overall increased the amount of student employees we have working on campus substantially over the last few years. It's gone up like by 100 employees each of the last 3 years every year. So that's really great. We've got a very well-engaged group. Janelle, I'm not sure if you want to chime in at all. Some of this has to do with federal work study and the financial aid that they might get for federal work study and so forth. So I'll tap it over to Janelle.
Thanks, Peggy. Hello, everybody. Janelle Kilgore, Vice Provost of Strategic Enrollment Management. So students that are working 20 hours a week, we actually see that they're having stronger success in their academic programs and things like that. So there is a much larger strategy. If an individual is actually only taking one course and that's how they plan to pursue their education, let's encourage them to apply as a full-time employee, and then let's help get them benefits and look strategically from that standpoint, where they can even give more of their time and talent to the university and the other resources that we're needing, right? If we have some vacant positions. Work study eligibility, many students are really kind of limited in the dollar amount that they can work up to. So there's just some other things in that larger conversation. I know Peggy Varberg and I have also met with student government probably maybe a year ago and kind of talking through this same type of topic. When a student is on break or maybe on a holiday or what have you, and the university is still open, they are able to work a little bit more than that 20-hour restriction. But there are also some other requirements too, where you might have to pay health insurance or other benefits if they work longer than 20 hours or an average of 20 hours a week. And so there's a few other things from the department standpoint that we might need to look at. And she and I are really happy to come visit and have those conversations with you all. So turning it back to you, VP Linder.
All right, thank you so much. Our next question, I'm going to turn back over to Donna Smith. Donna, will UND be hiring another part-time person to review the ACRs and the VPATs as part of the procurement process after Emily Ogle's contract is up at the end of September? This also may go to Odella as well.
Nope, it's a question for me. Thank you, VP Linder. So Emily Ogle is a part-time independent contractor who's been working with us since January of this year, reviewing VPATs and ACRs through that procurement process. We are recruiting for a full-time digital accessibility specialist in the Civil Rights Office who would take over those duties. We actually have initial interviews scheduled for the next 2 weeks and hope to have someone hired on a full-time basis with very minimal gap in Emily's contract availability.
Thank you so much. I'm going to turn this next question over to Jen Duffy. Jen, how has the changes to the use of Gamble Hall affected the availability of parking across different areas of campus? Will there be a relocation of the parking spaces in response?
Thank you, VP Linder. While the use of Gamble Hall has increased the demand in some of the nearby areas, there is currently available parking capacity in the Chester Fritz Performing Arts Center lot. There is zones that are designated for both employees and commuter students. And then, as always, parking services will continue to monitor the utilization demand across campus as changes occur.
All right, thanks so much. That is all the questions that we have received. I want to thank everybody for submitting all the questions. They've been fantastic. I'm going to turn it over to President Armacost now just to close it out. President Armacost, over to you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your great work guiding the discussion and making sure that all those questions were answered. So thanks so much, Melanie, for that great work. Hey, as we head out, I wanted to again remind everyone of the word that we've chosen for the year, and that's generosity. And interestingly, I'll marry this with the news of Dolly Parton's passing. So this morning when I stumbled out of bed and stumbled to the kitchen and poured myself a cup of ambition, I couldn't help but think that her generosity over many years of what she's done has been incredible, particularly her work on childhood literacy and the efforts through the Dolly Parton libraries and the reading rooms that she's created across the country. So I'm grateful for her commitment to learning, just like we do here at UND. So I figured we'd sign off with a great Dolly Parton quote about being generous. And it goes like this: "It seems like the more I give, the more I get. And that is the way it is supposed to go in life." And so with that, I will say thank you all for your generosity. I appreciate you tuning in today, and have a great week.